Good morning and welcome back to Michael, Luca, and now Andrew's excellent adventure. I am very, very happy to be here today. Good morning, Andrew. Good morning, Luca. How are you guys?
Good morning. I'm doing well.
Good morning, Michael. I'm doing well.
I'm very happy to be with you two here today. It has been a while since the last time we met. The last time we met was before Christmas, and this is the first time we are having the podcast in the new year. There has a lot has happened in the last month. Luca and Andrew, how was your Christmas break?
My Christmas break was great. It was great to be home and spend time with family. I got to spend time with both my mom and dad's side of the family.
Andrew, how was your Christmas break? Did you do anything exciting?
My Christmas break was pretty good. I just, spent a little bit of time with family, same as Luca. It was nice, to get a little bit of a change of scenery from Iona. I'm happy to be back here for classes, but it was a nice change of scenery.
Nice. Did you guys go anywhere over break?
I pretty much stayed local. I also got to see one of my high school friends and hang out with him, which was nice.
I also stayed local, just like Luca.
Nice. I actually, on December 28th, as a Christmas gift, my brother gave me tickets for the Jets Patriots game, and me and my brother went to the Jets Patriots game a few days after Christmas, and we went to MetLife Stadium. We took a coach bus to the game. When we got off the bus, we went into the stadium, and this is actually the first time I ever went to a NFL game from start to finish. And it was a great environment, and it was a very nice stadium, but it was a very disappointing game because unfortunately, the Jets got absolutely crushed, 42-10, and was like 35-3 at halftime. And the first half, it was over after like the first quarter, but I was very happy that I went. And it was another disappointing season for the Jets. They won 3 games, and last season they won like 4 or 5 games, and it's just been consistently being very, very disappointing that the New York Jets have been that consistently bad. And as a matter of fact, the last time the New York Jets made the playoffs was before I went to kindergarten. I was in my last year of nursery school, and it was January of 2011 was the last time they played in a playoff game and won a playoff game. So it's been consistently disappointing. They've had so many different head coaches, they've had so many different quarterbacks, but no matter what they do, nothing works. And once you feel like you have hope, that you know what, I think they're going to be good. It's always they always get unlucky, and they always just can't get the job done, and it's been consistently disappointing. And I've stopped getting mad about them losing like a couple of years ago. Everybody's so used to them losing that it just becomes natural that you don't have really a reaction to them losing anymore. But over break, and recently, a week or two ago, I was very happy and very pleased to find out that one of my favorite NFL coaches, John Harbaugh, the former Ravens head coach, is now the New York Giants head coach. The Ravens did not make the playoffs this season, and now he's the head coach of the Giants. And within days after he got fired from the Ravens, he got a job right away. Coaches and teams really, really wanted him to be part of their staff, and he automatically got interviews, and he was, in the spotlight. And that goes to show that as soon as he got let go for the Ravens, a bunch of teams really wanted him right away. And I'm very happy that the Giants got him, and he seems very enthusiastic and he seems passionate about his new job. Luca, what do you think about the John Harbaugh going to the Giants?
Yeah, I think it's a great move by the Giants. And I really like, what he said in his press conference and his attitude of like how he expects them to make the playoffs as soon as next year. And I really think that, it's all gonna work out and he could really turn them around.
Absolutely. And John Harbaugh was the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens for 18 seasons, and he went to the playoffs a lot. He won a Super Bowl. I was in first grade when John Harbaugh won the Super Bowl as the Baltimore Ravens head coach. The Ravens beat the 49ers, and John Harbaugh coached against his younger brother, Jim Harbaugh. And it was an incredible game. The stadium lost electricity in New Orleans. The Ravens have not been back to a Super Bowl since then, but if the Giants work really hard in the offseason and John Harbaugh makes the right moves, I think the New York Giants within the next few years could be a playoff contender team, and I really feel like John Harbaugh can turn them around. Do you agree, Luca?
Yes, I agree with 100%. He's a great coach.
He's an incredible coach, and he's definitely guaranteed to go to the Hall of Fame. Even if he doesn't win a Super Bowl with the Giants, he's definitely going to go to the Hall of Fame. And I think that they look extremely good. And I feel like a coach that has been on a team for a long period of time, like John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin, those two coaches were there a long time. The fact that he was there that long, that just goes to show you that he was very well liked and he knew what he was doing and he was very successful. So the fact that he's going to a team like the Giants, I think he has a very good chance of rebuilding them and doing very well with them. Just like the New England Patriots head coach this season, Mike Vrabel. Last season, he was the head coach of the Patriots and they won 4 games. And then I don't think he had a job the year before, and now he's taking the team to the Super Bowl. He completely rebuilt the team. Drake May did a phenomenal job this season. A lot of the players in the team did a tremendous job, and that's a franchise that has really rebuilt itself. And Luca, what do you think of the Patriots being in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, no, I think the Patriots have had an awesome season, and they've really turned it around a lot. And I think it's great that they're in the Super Bowl.
Now, Andrew, the Patriots will play the Seahawks in the Super Bowl in about 2 weeks. Who will you root for?
Honestly, I'd probably root for the Seahawks.
Why the Seahawks?
Just like a bunch of people in my high school were just like not really big fans of the Patriots, and like I believe I was in like second grade, and it was the Seahawks against the Broncos in the Super Bowl, and then like a couple of years later, the Seahawks I forget who they faced in the Super Bowl, but it was like 2 out of 3 years that the Seahawks played in the Super Bowl, and we all rooted for the Seahawks.
As a matter of fact, Andrew, you're 100% right. When I was in second grade, the Seattle Seahawks were playing the Denver Broncos in Super Bowl 48, and that Super Bowl was played at MetLife Stadium, a stadium that I was at about a month ago for the Jets-Patriots game with my brother. And the lead up to Super Bowl 48 when I was in second grade was like the biggest lead up to a Super Bowl ever. You got Peyton Manning, who won the MVP that season in 2013. The Broncos scored more points and more touchdowns than any offensive team in history. They were like the best offense to ever step foot on the field that year. They were scoring everywhere. And the Seattle Seahawks, led by Richard Sherman, the defense was led by Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas, Michael Bennett. All of those players dominated on defense, and they were by far the number 1 ranked defense in the league. So you got the best offense in the league up against the best defense. It's supposed to be the greatest Super Bowl ever. The Broncos started off with the ball, and Joe Namath, the New York Jets legend who won Super Bowl III, he did the coin toss for that game, and he was wearing a fur coat, and he did the coin toss, and the Seahawks won the toss, but they decided to put their defense out on the field. The very first play of the game, it was a safety. The ball went over Peyton's head, and it was 2-0 within 12 seconds into the game. And then it was 5-0 Seahawks, then 8-0, then it was 15-0. And then it was 22-0 at halftime. And I'm saying to myself, this is a disaster. This is supposed to be like the best Super Bowl ever. And the Seahawks are absolutely crushing them. This isn't even fun. And then it was 36-0 in the third quarter. And then it was 36-8 at the end of the third quarter. Then it was 43-8, and Seattle absolutely dominated it. And that was the most disappointing Super Bowl ever. And there was so much hype for that game because it was supposed to be the best Super Bowl ever. And it was so disappointing. And I was very disappointed because Peyton Manning was by far my favorite NFL player ever. And that was disappointing. And Andrew's right. The following season, when I was in third grade, the Seahawks went back to the Super Bowl. And in that NFC Championship game, they played against the Packers at home. And the Seahawks were down 16-0 at halftime. And it was 16-0, I believe, in the fourth quarter. And then in the middle of the fourth quarter, the Seahawks were going for a field goal. And then they did a fake field goal and they threw a touchdown. And they went up 16-7. Then it was 16-14, and then it was a very, very, very good comeback, and then it was tied at 22 at the end of regulation, and then the Seahawks won in overtime. And the Seattle Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson threw 4 interceptions in that game, and they still won the game. And the Seahawks wide receiver Jermaine Kearse, he dropped the ball at least like 3 or 4 times in that game, and he ended up catching the game-winning touchdown. And the Seahawks never gave up, and then they went back to the Super Bowl against the Patriots. And the Seahawks, that game, the lead up to that game was just as fun as the lead up to the season before against the Seahawks and the Broncos. But the following season, the Patriots against the Seahawks, because the Patriots, led by Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, Julian Edelman, that offense was insane. And then they were going up against the best defense. Again, the same defense as the Super Bowl before. The Seahawks defense led by Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas. That whole team was like a very, very dominant defense. So all that hype leading up to it was a lot of fun, and all like my friends at school were saying, and Andrew, it was the same with my school. Everybody was rooting for the Seahawks because the Patriots. Tom Brady already has 3 rings. The Seahawks are so likable. Pete Carroll, he's a very likable coach. Everybody was rooting for them. And Luca and Andrew, do you remember that Super Bowl?
No, I don't remember that one as well.
Andrew, do you remember it?
Not very well. It's been a while.
But ironically, I remember that one, and it was, nothing at the end of the first quarter, and then it was 14-7 with 31 seconds left in the first half, and the Seahawks got the ball, and then Russell Wilson, it was 31 seconds, and Russell Wilson wasted no time within those 31 seconds. He made the most out of it, and he was like, hey, let's go put points on the board right now. And then they went down the field and put a good drive together, and they put the drive together, and they were on like the 15, 16-yard line, and it was 14-7, and Russell Wilson went over to Pete Carroll, and he's like, what do you want to do? And Pete Carroll's like this, I'd say we go for a shot at the end zone right here. And Russell Wilson threw a touchdown pass to Chris Matthews, and they tied it 14-14. And then the Seahawks were up 24-14 at the end of the third quarter. And no team in Super Bowl history at that point had ever been down by 10, and then to come back and win it. And then it was 24-14 in the fourth quarter. And then in the middle of the fourth quarter, Tom Brady put a drive together to make it 24-21. And then with about 6 minutes to go, the Patriots got the ball back, and they put a drive together, and the Patriots scored to make it 28-24. Now this might have been the craziest ending in NFL history. So it's 28-24, 2 minutes and 3 seconds. Russell Wilson gets the ball back, and with about a minute to go, Russell Wilson throws the ball down the field to Jermaine Kearse, and there were 2 cornerbacks on Jermaine Kearse. And when Jermaine Kearse went up to make the catch, the wide receiver for the Seahawks was literally on the ground, and then the ball hit his cleat, and then it was up in the air. He tipped it, and then he caught it, and people didn't even realize that he caught it. It was an insane catch. And then the Seahawks were at the 1-yard line, and all they had to do was hand the ball off to Marshawn Lynch, the best running back in the league. Do you remember Marshawn Lynch, Luca?
No, I don't remember super well.
But all they had to do was hand the ball off to Marshawn Lynch. The very next play after the Jermaine Kearse catch, they handed the ball off to Marshawn Lynch, and he was down at the 1-yard line. The Seahawks, the next play, it's 28-24. The Patriots are winning with 20-something seconds to go in the Super Bowl. You're on the 1-yard line. You're this close to winning your second consecutive Super Bowl in a row. The Seahawks threw the ball on the 1-yard line and the Patriots intercepted it. And all they had to do was hand the ball off to the best running back, and the Seahawks threw the ball, and the Patriots intercepted it, and the Patriots ended up winning it. And to this day, the fact that the Seahawks decided to throw the ball instead of running it, that's the worst call in Super Bowl history, and that will go down as the worst call in NFL history. And it was all hype, and then a fight broke out like a minute later, and then the Patriots ended up winning. But everybody says that Seattle should have won that one. And now it's 11 years later. And I remember the hype for that Super Bowl. And this Super Bowl is going to be all hype because the Seahawks, led by Sam Darnold, has had a tremendous season. And now the New England Patriots are having an incredible season, really turned things around. And Sam Darnold is the first player in NFL history to have 14 consecutive wins 2 years in a row with two different teams. Last year, he was on the Vikings and had 14 wins. And then this season, 14 wins with the Seahawks. And now he's going to the Super Bowl. Luke, I don't know if I asked you this, but who will you root for in the Super Bowl?
The Super Bowl, I would definitely say the Seahawks for sure.
Now, the lead up to Super Bowl 49 when I was in third grade, and even like an announcer even said during the game on like either the Patriots or Seahawks radio, they're like, with regards to the fans here, it's like 80% Seattle, 20% New England as far as the fan base goes. So now, 11 years later, the Patriots are playing the Seahawks. You know, Tom Brady is an absolute legend in the NFL. Do you think that the lead up to this Super Bowl will be as fun and will be the same as the lead up to the Super Bowl 11 years ago because the Patriots don't have Tom Brady this season? Do you think it's going to be the same, Luca and Andrew?
No, I don't think at all that it's going to be the same.
Andrew, do you think it's going to be the same?
I think it'll be a pretty good lead up considering all the games that we've had so far, with the exception of the AFC Championship game. Close games and they're fun to watch, especially the NFC Championship game, which I had watched with you and Luca.
Great game. Now, I have to say, with the exception of one or two games, the playoffs this season were very entertaining, and every game came down to the wire, and it was back and forth. And for a good portion of the game, you didn't know who was going to win because it was so close. And I have to say that the AFC, Luca, what did you think of the AFC Championship game on Sunday?
I did not think it was super entertaining at all. You know, it was certainly very low scoring, and yeah, I just wish it was more entertaining.
Was there any time during the game when you said to yourself, I think Denver's going to win?
Yeah, I did think at points in the game that Denver had a chance at winning.
I believe that I think the weather had a lot to do with the fact that Denver lost. They couldn't get any offense going. And I have to say, even though New England won the game, they couldn't get any offense going. And I felt like it was uneventful and very lackluster, very boring and slow. But at the other hand, I thought it was entertaining because for a good portion of the game, you didn't really know who was going to win. And the Broncos at the beginning of the game gave me a lot of hope, and they looked really good. But they scored on their second possession, and, you know, they didn't really do much for the rest of the game. They didn't score any more points the rest of the game. And I felt like basically what the whole game was, you know, New England not being able to score on offense and then the Broncos defense taking over, but then the Broncos getting the ball back and the Patriots stopping them on defense. And then in the fourth quarter, it was basically just Denver trying to score and put points on the board, but then New England getting the ball back and not being able to score. And that's basically what the whole game was. And last year's Super Bowl was very disappointing. It was 24-0. The Eagles were up 24-0 at half, and the Chiefs ended up losing the game 40-22. Now, Luca and Andrew, do you have a feeling that this year's Super Bowl will be better than last year's?
Oh, I definitely think it will be a lot better than last year's. Last year's I didn't really like at all.
I agree with Luca. I think this year's Super Bowl is going to be a lot better. Like I was saying earlier, considering that the games were fairly close and entertaining this offseason so far. So I think the games will be pretty good, and the Super Bowl will be entertaining. You know, we'll have to wait and see, but I think the chances are pretty good that regardless of whoever wins, whether it be New England or whether it be Seattle, that the game will be entertaining.
Absolutely, and they're two very evenly matched teams. Do you agree, Luca and Andrew?
Yes, I agree. I think they're both evenly matched and both great teams.
I would agree with that as well.
And if the New England Patriots win the Super Bowl, it will be the New England Patriots' 7th Super Bowl win in their franchise history, and they would be the first franchise in NFL history to win 7 Super Bowls, and Mike Vrabel played as a football player with the New England Patriots with Tom Brady. He was a linebacker, and as a matter of fact, he was a linebacker, but he caught an offensive touchdown in Super Bowl 38 and in Super Bowl 39. He won 3 Super Bowls with the Patriots. He was on the Patriots in Super Bowl 42 when the Giants beat the Patriots when the Patriots were undefeated. And he played on the Chiefs for a year, and he was an incredible football player. And now he's the head coach of the Patriots and bringing them to the Super Bowl. And if the Patriots win the Super Bowl, Mike Vrabel will be the first person in NFL history to win a Super Bowl as a player and as a head coach for the same team he played for. And there's a very good chance that he's going to do that. He's an excellent coach. I saw him coach last month when he coached against the Jets, and he did an incredible job. And that's going to be a great game, and it's going to be very evenly matched up. Now, before the NFC Championship game on Sunday, Luca and Andrew, who did you think was going to win?
Before the game, I would say I thought the Rams were going to win.
I would agree with Luca too. Especially like even in the game, I thought like the Rams are gonna win just because it was like a good back and forth. But I feel like they had a lot of hustle as well, and I feel like it was just I don't know, something was telling me that they were gonna win, and then they ended up losing. I don't know what happened.
Sean McVay is an incredible coach. He knows how to build a team, and he knows how to really guide his team to win. I think it just came down to Seattle made one more play than Los Angeles, and Seattle's defense was really good that game. But I will never count out Matthew Stafford. He always plays his heart out. He always competes really hard, and the NFL MVP awards. Who do you think deserves to get it this season, Luca and Andrew?
The MVP, I would definitely say Stafford deserves to get it. He's been having an amazing season and playing some great football.
I would agree with Luca on that as well.
Now, Drake May, he's like only a couple years older than us. And the fact that he's in this big stage in the Super Bowl in over a week, it's very, very impressive. And I think he's like the youngest quarterback to ever start in a Super Bowl. So that's going to be a big stage for him. And also, Sam Darnold is a young guy, and he's also going to be starting in the Super Bowl. Now, if Matthew Stafford doesn't get the MVP, who do you think would be the second best choice to get the MVP?
If he doesn't get it, then I would say probably Drake May would get it.
Probably Drake May. Now, who do you think deserves to be the NFL head coach of the year?
Honestly, there's a lot of candidates for that. Definitely Sean Payton and Mike Vrabel are two of them.
I believe it's either Sean Payton or Mike Vrabel, but I think this season I would have to give it to Vrabel because of what happened last season with the Patriots and what happened this season. They won 4 games last season, and the season before, I think they only won a few games. And this is actually the first time they're going to the Super Bowl without Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. So it's going to be different watching the Patriots play in a Super Bowl without Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. And also, it was probably felt a little different for the owner, Robert Kraft, who's been the owner of the Patriots for a long time. And they went to 9 Super Bowls with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. And now Robert Kraft is going to another Super Bowl, but it's without Brady. And Tom Brady will probably be at the Super Bowl next week. And probably Rob Gronkowski and probably a lot of other former Patriot players will be there. And probably Pete Carroll, the former Seahawks head coach, will be there. Do you agree, Luca and Andrew?
Yes, I do agree. I think there's a good chance they'll all be there.
I would agree with Luca on that as well.
And it's definitely going to be a lot of hype, but I'd have to give it. We're going to have to give it to Vrabel because of what he's done this season. He did an incredible job, and overall, it's going to be a great Super Bowl. Thank you very much for joining us today. We're looking forward to having another great podcast with you next week. Thank you.
That was fun.